Hello everyone, I'm Rong, a Chinese lawyer. Today, I want to talk about which legal documents are enforceable in Chinese courts. Effective legal documents that can be enforced in the People's Court in China include the following: civil judgment, civil ruling, consent judgment, payment order, notarized debt instrument, arbitration awards and mediation documents issued by Chinese arbitration institutions, judgments or orders made by foreign courts, arbitral award made by foreign arbitration institutions. I will explain them one by one. Okay, the first is a civil judgment. It is a judgment made by the People's Court to resolve the substantive issues of the case after hearing the case. There are three types of civil judgments: first instance judgment, second instance judgment, and the retrial judgment. In the previous video, we talked about the China's trial system. In China's trial system, there are two instances, and the second instance is the last instance. That means, after the first instance judgment is made, both the plaintiff and the defendant have the right to appeal to the court at the higher level within the appeal period, requesting a second instance. If neither the plaintiff nor the defendant files an appeal within the appeal period, the first instance judgment will take effect as soon as the appeal period expires. But if any party of the case files an appeal during the appeal period, then the first instance judgment will not take effect and cannot be enforceable. However, the second instance judgment and the retrial judgment will take effect immediately as long as the parties or their lawyers receive the judgment. Okay, that is civil judgment. The second is a civil ruling. A civil ruling is a written decision made by the People's Court on procedure issues in the process of hearing civil cases and economic disputes. So, civil judgment is made to resolve the substantive issues, but civil ruling is made on procedure issues. For example, during the litigation process of a case, the plaintiff may file an application for property preservation with a court in order to prevent the defendant from transferring his or her assets. If the judge believes this application is reasonable, a civil ruling will be made. Therefore, because of the ruling, the defendant's property will be frozen and cannot be transferred. Okay, the third document is a consent judgment. So what is a consent judgment? During the trial of a civil case, based on the principle of voluntariness and legality, the judge can promote the parties to reach an agreement through mediation. When the mediation agreement is reached, the People's Court shall prepare a consent judgment which states the claims, facts of the case, and results of the mediation. The judge and the court clerk shall affix their signatures, and the People's Court shall affix its seal to a consent judgment. Once a consent judgment is signed by both parties of the case, it shall become legally binding and cannot be appealed. So, the consent judgment is not only a record of the negotiation results of the parties, but also a recorded official document and the basis for the parties to comply with the implementation. In the civil and commercial cases that I have represented over the years, many of them were settled with consent judgments at the first instance stage. Because for the plaintiff, the consent judgment takes effect immediately once it is served, which is helpful for the plaintiff to recover his or her losses as soon as possible. For the defendant, the reason why he or she agrees to mediation is that he or she can benefit from the mediation agreement. Chinese judges, especially the judge of the first instance, prefers to facilitate mediation between the plaintiff and the defendant because the parties could not appeal against the consent judgment. Okay, the fourth document is a payment order. A creditor which requests a debtor to repay money or negotiable securities may apply to the Basic People's Court to issue an order for payment if the following conditions are met. The first condition is there are no other debt disputes between the creditor and the debtor. The second instance is order for payment can be served on the debtor. After accepting an application, the court shall examine the facts and the evidence provided by the creditor. And if the creditor and debtor relationship is clear and legal, the court will issue an order for payment to the debtor. If the debtor has neither submitted an objection nor complied with the order for payment during the specific period, the creditor may apply to the People's Court for the enforcement of the payment order. The fifth document is an arbitration award or mediation document issued by Chinese arbitration institutions. The sixth document is a Notarized Debt Instrument. So, what is a Notarized Debt Instrument? It is an enforcement certificate issued by a notary institution. For example, I represented a case in which a bank recovered a loan from a debtor. The loan agreement signed between the bank and the debtor was notarized by a notary institution. It is clearly stipulated that after the debtor fails to perform the agreed payment obligations, the bank has a right to apply directly to the notary office for the execution certificate without going through litigation procedures. Based on the notary certificate, the bank directly applied to the court for the execution against the debtor and collected the money. The seventh type of enforceable documents include the following: judgments or orders made by foreign courts, arbitral awards made by foreign arbitration institutions. But the validity of these documents should be recognized by the People's Court of China. Okay, that's all for today. I hope my video will be helpful to you. If you have any legal questions, just contact to us.